we were empowered 1,400 years ago. Everyone, today we are going to talk about education, and one is a higher education and other one is education before you complete your school study. That we say, I think we call it child education and before you get into real education. So today the two guests are Sahara Ansari, country manager SIMA, and Zainab Safran. She's going to be talking about childhood education. She's a coach on special children and also a primary education. It's going to be a very informal, and both are Zainab and Sahara. So, okay, no, the names are being
Zahara.
Okay. So I'll come to you first because SIMA is so popular and you all are talking about higher education, right? If I ask you SIMA, I see a lot of young girls getting into SIMA, right? So if you just explain to me what SIMA is really about.
So first off, thank you, Sulo, for inviting me for this segment. So SIMA is basically a professional qualification, a globally renowned, prestigious qualification that we always say it just in one line: SIMA changes your life. So it's a business management qualification. Traditionally, SIMA was known to be an accountancy-based qualification. So yes, we are a management accountancy qualification, but we create business leaders. Anyone doing SIMA is not necessarily learning accountancy and finance, but we are actually learning how to manage businesses. I myself am a SIMA member and I've benefited from that professional qualification, and that's why I'm very, very proud to serve my institute, not just as a member, but also as a staff. And yes, a lot of females are taking up SIMA because they see the value in it. Not just females, but across board, we see quite a number of people taking up SIMA because it's changing their lives.
Okay, I will ask another question related, because why I said more women. Because I see a lot of women are getting qualified in finance management, right? But those days it was not girls, it was boys. Don't you see there's no gender balance now when it comes to entrance of this management or higher qualifications?
So I actually looked into some of the numbers before I came in. So if you look at my members, we have more males. The percentage is higher on the males. But if you look at students, more females. And in fact, last year, 2020, the numbers were a little bit skewed towards, more females coming on to do SIMA. In a way, it's really great because our females have now realized that there is potential out there for them in any role. And like I was saying earlier, SIMA is not just for finance roles, right? So they can go into any business. For example, you don't have to look too far. Kasturi, our member, right? So she started off in accountancy audit, but then she moved into process and now she's heading a business. That is the career path out there for females, and I am very proud to say that I see loads of women heading that way.
So it's nothing to do with gender, it's where you want to find a career path, am I correct?
Yes.
Okay, Zainab, I know you are speaking about the child education, right? And you always say, the education starts with creativity.
Yes, exactly.
So if you can just explain as a coach on education for children, how do you see Sri Lankan education?
First of all, thank you very much, Sulo, for inviting me today, because I had been really yearning to put out what's in my heart about education in Sri Lanka. So I'll start with a famous quote by Albert Einstein. So he has said, education is more than knowledge, right? So when he says more than knowledge, he's meaning it's thinking out of the box, right? Like, for example, in Sri Lanka, right, I hate to break it, but I'll tell you, it's all about academics, right? when I did the market research here, because I'd been in UAE and working globally across other countries for past 11 years before I came to settle down here. So there is 100% difference in all aspects, from the learning system to the classroom management to how educators take education seriously. Starting with educators, mostly here being a teacher means you're just at home, so you can go and teach.
Yeah.
Right? That's the truth, right? So if there is a girl, she's bored at home, so next choice is what, I can go and be a teacher. But that's not the case. So educator means you are passionate about it. You want to make a change, not that you're sitting at home and coming to do education. So the question you asked about creativity, if you notice a child below the age of 6, they are this idea generating enthusiasts. They keep bringing up so many ideas. So a research says when they are enrolled in school, after grade 3, it significantly decreases,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
There is a big drop. After grade 6, it's almost to zero level,
Yes.
right? So now we see when this child grows up, now his passion, right? For example, I was chased out of the needlework classroom, right? Because, I mean, it's a real life experience because...
So I'm also same boat, don't worry.
But I loved art and I loved to try stitching. But then the teacher was like, you know, she just gave 1 or 2 needlework stitching, and then she's like, you're not good at it. You have another option. Why not you go and try art? But I was good at cross stitch and everything, but they didn't nurture that. So we can't only blame the educators. We have to also, the parents, when they see these unique qualities like art or music or whatever they like, they don't encourage the child towards that. Art is like when the child is bored, they just keep to draw. It has become an option like that. So, for example, Steve Jobs, right? We look at him as a great intellectual personality, which is true. He's gifted, he's talented, right? So, the question is he born gifted or is he born with the creativity which he nurtured? If you ask me, everybody, human beings are uniquely creative beings. We thrive on creativity.
Yeah.
Right? For example, if this child's creativity is 0, when this child grows up into an adult, right, he comes into this challenging situation and he has no critical thinking or creativity, what happens then? Right? So parents don't think this. So next time when you see your child drawing, you all got to observe what the child is really doing, expressing their feelings maybe. So just look at it. So like Steve Jobs, right, you don't have to be like a big intellectual or creative person inventing things. But all the human beings are born creative. They are innovators. Like, for example,
We
you
are
can
a
come
product
up...
of a creator, no?
Yes.
So we have that within us, right?
Yeah,
And nature is a creativity.
exactly.
So we cannot get ourselves apart from the nature.
Yeah.
So the only thing is that parents has to, I think as you said, because we also product of our Sri Lankan education.
Yes,
What I see here is sometimes the parents are looking for grades,
grades.
not
Yes.
for a happy child. So that is the main issue.
So the solution for this is parents and educators should unite to reverse this misconception of creativity, the perception, right? And the downward trending, like traditional classroom and high testing assessments. Now these two are major killers of creativity,
Yeah.
right? Everybody is not going to agree with this, but with my experience of 15 years in education from the primary level alone, studying children, right? So when you test them and you're not allowing them to work and express themselves freely, right? You're cutting down their wings,
Yeah.
right? You're chopping it off. You're saying like when this child is drawing, you're taking it out and giving the homework page in the hand,
Agree on that.
right? And Sri Lankan education system are coming to our education system. We are stuck at the 80s, right? Education system is a globally changing field. It's every day there's a new trend.
I want to stop you there because education, yes, we are in 80s, but our primary education and our O levels, A levels, grade 5 are in the scope of a government. But if you come to the nursery, still there is no system. But there you can make it or break it. But I see it as a business now.
Yeah.
Right? Education is number one business in Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
Where Sri Lanka has, correct me if I'm wrong, Sri Lanka has been ranked in the world where education system used to be very good. Is it the educators? Because you all both are coming from educational background and educators. First I'll ask from you, I'll shift your this thing to, because now whatever the child product is coming as an adult, for you all to get them back to the economical, right? So some of the, with all this creativity and all that, when it comes to CIMA, what I've seen, because I have been doing with a lot of young people, when I ask them why you're not doing CIMA, it's expensive, it's not our thing, we do not know English. So how, that now creativity, we are stopping it, then the money and the economical background. So you think that CIMA is only offering for people who can aspire, or what? Because now there are two blocks are coming in.
So CIMA is a UK-based qualification, although now we are like a lot more global. Yes, it is expensive. I'm not going to say no. Yes, it is expensive, and we do understand that, but there is a massive segment of people who understood the value of having such a qualification. Yes, it's tied to the GBP, which is like, skyrocketing. Yeah. We do understand. That's why as the local office, we have made sure to, tie up with so many different banks. We give them loan schemes, we give them credit card schemes, and all of that. We are trying to help. In fact, this year we are starting off with a little bit of a scholarship scheme of sorts as well. And in addition to that, now these are the normal students, right? So this year we started a new program called Finance Leadership Program, where you don't necessarily have to go for a tuition provider, but you can study it based out of a system that we are giving it to the university students at a fraction of the cost. So far we've got about 2 private universities and 2 state universities who've tied up on board with us. Professor Amaratunga, he really likes the product, the UGC chair, mainly because he sees the value in it. And adding on to what Zainab was saying, creativity is a must in the real world, in the real practical world. Why am I saying it is because 65% of the primary kids who are in schools right now are going to be working in jobs that don't exist today. This is the research from McKinsey, and World Economic Forum also talks about it. So they need to be creative, not just in their youth, but in the work life as well. So yes, whilst it is expensive, it's a quality product. And we are trying our best to make it as affordable as possible. So even last year we took off the registration fees wherever possible. We are trying to help the Sri Lankan kids.
I'm going to shift from this education bit to about your personal life, right? So coming from a consecutive, I would say just from a Muslim family, getting yourself educated and running actually to be the country manager of CIMA is a huge question. What was your background? When you were a kid, did you ever dream to be this person? Or actually, if you can just touch your background.
Okay, so I come from a normal family, a middle class family. We used to live in Halsdorf, and the best thing that has happened to me in my life is my father, I guess. I mean, my mom was also helpful, but it's my father who has been right behind me. He let me do anything I wanted. He never stopped me from, doing extracurricular activities or going out there doing whatever I wanted. I've worked abroad alone. He's allowed me. When the rest of my relatives were like, okay, he was like, no, let her be what she wants to be. And right now I'm blessed to have a husband who is even more, relaxed about what I do.
Yeah, I was so shocked. You said your husband from Eastern, and still you say I have that freedom, right?
He's just simply amazing. I mean, both of them are like, the winds, like how do I say? They let me fly, even to date whatever I want. I have a small child at home. Right now, I am pregnant with my second. they'll never stop me from anything. They'll just support me as much as possible. And my father paid for my SEMA education. So right at the beginning, he paid for the whole thing. That was the only request, if at all, in my life that he has made for me to do SEMA, because I was more into marketing and he was like, it's his dream to see me as an accountant. So I embarked on SEMA for him. And then thereafter, I started working in various places. So I've actually worked at Nations Trust, WNS, and during the time at WNS, I still remember there were month ends when we do accounting stuff. I used to come home at 4, 5 in the morning. That's the time he wakes up for morning prayers. He wouldn't say a word. He would never say anything against it. And then he let me go work in London, then back at Airtel again, full freedom, do whatever I want. I used to go on trips, hang out with my friends. I think I'm blessed to have come from that background.
So sometimes you have to have someone who's supportive. And you have been lucky to have before your marriage the father and now your husband. Senab, I'm coming to you because both are Muslims, right? Because I invited you all because education those days they said it's like, girls should not be educated and all that.
Yeah.
But now you all have come forward and you all are talking. I know that there is a culture in the art is not for is not good, not allowed, right? This I do not know whether it's right or wrong. But you are someone who is creative. Your children, you want them to be artists. You are pushing it. Isn't it wrong, or are you going against your religion?
So I don't think I'm going against my religion, because if you have taken the Islamic history from Turkey to the Ottoman Empire, it is very artistic, right?
Yeah.
Even if you go to Turkey or anywhere, it is very artistic. So the country I lived in past 11 years, now they have the Sheikh Zayed Mosque. If you go inside that mosque, every aspect from the pillow to everything, it's full of art. So I think there is a lot of misconception, but I don't see in the Quran, because I am a big believer, like if God has said it, He will say it in His book, right?
Okay.
So even even what our Prophet has told us, we have to check, because what God has said, the Prophet will say the same thing. So in between, after 1400 years, the wordings come from so many people to so many people to so many people.
It's happened to all the religions,
Yeah.
right?
So what I do is, I'm saying, like for whoever, like any ladies almost, just refer and see if it is there. There is not a single word saying art is not good. Then if he's saying art is not good, he has created human beings very creatively. We are unique creative beings, right? Creativity, they have a misconception on creativity, saying the right side of the brain is a creative brain.
Yeah.
That is wrong, right? The renowned psychologist Scott Kaufman, he has told that it is a process, cognitive process, from verification to information. So it's all happening. Everyone is creative.
The whole body has our
Yes.
ingredients of thinking, attitude, creativity, everything.
You know, the funny part is, my daughter, that she's a budding artist. She's 7 years old. So recently I had a stall. So whoever who came there, they were like, okay, you're selling art. I was like, no, I'm selling a concept in art. I am, encouraging creativity. So they were like, how old is your child? I said, my child is 7 years old. Really? Did she draw this? I was like, yes. No, tell us how do you teach her? I said, I don't teach her. I allow her to be herself. Like what Zara was saying, her dad has molded her perfectly, allowing her to be herself. So today she's in her pathway which she's more passionate about. Because nowadays, in any work culture, you'll see there are at least 70% of people who are not happy with their job. They cannot follow their passion. It's because their parents have been forcing academics, right? It's like, if you are not creative, your school if you are creative, your school failed.
Yeah.
Right?
I know that experience with my son.
Yeah.
So that's normal. So if I may ask now, you are very passionate about these special children also.
Yes.
Right? And you always say, Sulu, I want to do something differently for special children.
Yeah.
Actually, why Sri Lanka is still not ready to accept that special children Because I met a special child. The mother is so much pushing that son to go for maths tuition class when the boy wants to be an artist, because he is a special child. But because the other children are getting good marks in maths, the mother is pushing. So we'll forget about the special child. Why the parents? Because cannot understand, is it lack of awareness, or it's lack of, like, they don't want to accept that the child is special?
First is major lack of awareness, right? Because most of the parents here, when the child is special, right, they are labeled by the society. One thing, they cannot face the society. So our mindset in Sri Lanka, 95%, what will people think? What will people say? Right? Special needs can fall autism, Down syndrome, ADHD. These are most commonly found. But in Sri Lanka, I have seen there are a lot of autistic children. But a lot of parents who come to do sessions with me have told that they are finding it difficult to find a school. The child, autism means it is a gift, because that child's brain is super creative, super fast, right? Super gifted. But they don't know to nurture the child. Now, so it is lack of awareness and the parent not accepting the child. Any child, let it be special needs or a child with ADHD, first make a conscious choice. This is my child, this is the way he is, I will accept him, right? It's like an affirmation, right? My child is special, don't think. My child is super. He is gifted, he's a loved child, so I'm going to accept him. Then you will see the magic work, see what your special child is good at, right? One thing I have seen in our communities, whenever they see, like, no offense, I have seen whenever they see autistic child or some child with a neuro difficulty, they give this weird look, or they keep staring at the mom, or keep staring at the child. So we have to stop from there, right? And one thing which I found like a major lack in our country, which is really disappointing and disheartening, is that these children are not accepted into normal classrooms.
Yes.
So they find it, why do you have to find it challenging? I have been teaching for the past 15 years and half, like almost 8-9 years. In my classroom as a primary educator, I had taught with special need children. In UAE, they term this special need as children of determination.
Okay, that's good.
Inclusion. You don't have any inclusion schools in Sri Lanka so far. Let it be international schools or the government sectors. I have never seen inclusive children in the classroom, right? So we are into 2021, right? Other countries' education system, there is major turnover, right? They are developing. They are looking these people as gifted, really gifted. So I have taught with autism children in my class, with normal children. So the first thing, the message we are giving to that child at the primary level is, you are accepted.
Yeah.
You are gifted and you are accepted with all the other children. And other children are taught inclusiveness, how you are going to nurture this child, be his friend, help him learn. But that is not there in our system. So I can remember, I was like really telling you, if you can remember, this should change.
Yeah, you were telling me a lot of things should change. I would have been in politics to change.
No, I was like,
totally
this should change, because
yeah, it has to change. But I think first thing is the lack of awareness in that. If I come to you, Sarah, just for this, we talk about CIMA qualification. Everyone is love to say we are CIMA qualified. But just because you're qualified, you're not going to be progress, right? As a CIMA member, as a head of CIMA, what would you say that, qualifications, because a lot of people in Sri Lanka now are going after qualifications, right? It's just a qualification unless your personality is not there. What is your advice? Because I see a lot of young people, they finish the degree, they take the MBA and they go for the PhD also, right? It's not experience. They just want to say that we have these things. What is your advice to them?
My advice would be, yes, you have to have at least one base qualification, but work. start right at the bottom, get your work experience, because without work experience, you won't have anything up there. It's not just, CIMA is a very practical qualification because we actually put people through multiple choice questions in one exam and then case study exams to put them into a practical situation. So if you're not working, you're going to find it difficult because you're in a real world when you answer that exam. So you have to work. For example, if I take my own personal career, I started in sales at the beginning in the bank and then retail banking. Started right at the bottom because we didn't want to use any connections, nor did I want, go down that route. That has helped me be what I am today. No one can, fool me. Anything that comes up at work, not just in this current role, but any role that I've done, no one can fool me because I know right from the bottom what happens where. And I have a very keen eye for detail as well. So you can only gather all of that if you start working at a young age. And unfortunately, some of the millennials, they expect to kind of, get high salaries, get promoted fast and all of that. That is not what matters. What matters is you gather as much experience, as much knowledge while you progress. And it's not about collecting qualifications like you rightly said, Sulo, because end of the day, it's a paper qualification. I think a base qualification like a degree or a professional qualification like a CIMA is more than enough for someone to survive. And I have seen that amongst most of my members. They only have CIMA and at maximum an MBA. And this doctorate, I guess, would be because it sounds nice to have it in the front. Sorry, but...
No, it's true because now I have been facing it because a lot of people get doctorates. Someone has questioned me which doctorate, and I was like, why should I put it on my social media? What's my credential now? Because it's not who I am, it's what I do that matters. So unfortunately, we have been waiting for that qualifications to be prove ourselves. I think our personality should prove who we are.
Exactly, yeah.
Right? So before I end, I'm having a question. I hope both of you will answer it. You are covered your head. You're not. So who is the real Muslim girl?
I think we both are, because like Zara, my father, right, I will say, he's a practicing Muslim, right? I won't put the term religious because for many various, he's a practicing Muslim. I'm a practicing Muslim, right? But what I believe is what I do is between me and my God.
Yeah, you have always told me that.
Yeah.
Right? You always say, it's between me and my God,
Yeah.
not with people.
So if I feel that I am not ready to wear the hijab yet, but hijab in our religion means not only covering the head, but being modest, There's a lot of deep thoughts going inside this, but this term hijab is usually misused. Yeah. Like if you are in hijab, then you're good. Then
I know, it's not only hijab. If you wear a sari or if you wear a shorts, so it depends. So you will also agree with her, or you have a different...
No, I do agree because I always believe it's between us and our God. Yeah. I mean, even if you do end up wearing a bikini, that's perfectly fine because you will be dealing with God, not anybody else. I mean, anyone can think anything. I mean, I started covering up only about 11 years ago, 2010. And that's not because anybody forced me or anything. I mean, throughout my life, I've worn various things, even shorts. But some point in life, I understood what I wanted to do. And I changed.
So it's up to us,
yeah.
Right? So it's not about what other people judge us. And thank you so much because I wished I had more times because you all have so many things and young girls and actually the society can learn a lot from you all because we comes with a lot of perception, judging, and all those things. But if we can give a positivity to the society, it's not what we wear or it's not our religion or it's not what we eat or any culture, it's who we are that matters.
The inner essence.
Inner essence, that's what we matter.
So, if I may add one more point, Muslims are totally misunderstood in today's world. We are not backward. We are very much empowered, and I'm sure Zainab can add on to this.
Yeah.
We were empowered way before, centuries ago, and we are the most coolest religion in a way. Unfortunately, a lot of people tend to take one paragraph or one sentence from the Quran and
And they elaborate it.
misunderstand us. But that's not the case. Our religion has given us so much freedom.
Totally.
I would like to add on to what Zara was talking, because I really can relate to that, because I really tell a lot of people who are asking, or when they come up with their weird answers, so I tell them, look, empowerment is nothing new to me, because we were empowered 1400 years ago. When you check the Quran and the stories, you see our Prophet's wife, he married, there was a 25 years age gap, he was younger to her. She was a widow and a tradeswoman, very highly successful businesswoman, and she was the backbone for him, right? Everything, if we really read the story.
I totally agree with you, because because they are saying the time is over. But I would like to say that it's not Sri Lankan culture that you need women to be empowered. We have brought a culture which is not ours, and now we are trying to put us in a religion corners and say these are need to be empowered, right? So people like you, women like you, need to speak out, not for the hatred. People think, because I see a lot of people judge without knowing.
Yeah.
So I'm a person who is I associate with everyone.
Yeah.
And I have seen that it's just that there are a lot of myths, right? If someone need to talk out and say it's not, and unfortunately, whether we agree or not, we have a system that some of the richest are being enjoyed. The poorest pay the price of a lot of rules and regulations, which I'm not in favor of. Whether it's a religion, whether it's a culture, it's not fair. So for that, I would say you all have to come out, and thank you so much for coming on my show.
Before, I really want to make one point, Sula, I really forgot to tell that.
Yeah.
When you asked about the education system here, right? What lacks in our education system, just three things. One is there is no student-led classrooms, right? It's a traditional teaching where it's a one-way relationship.
Okay, the second one, you have to cut it out. It's
Then it's like having an inclusive child in the classroom and good trained educators. These three are lacking in our education system.
Student-led education, inclusive class, and also trained educators. So both of them spoke from their heart. One said it's not about qualification, it's about taking your qualifications into a practical level. Others said don't kill the creativity, and both of them said we are empowered women. We do not need to be empowered. We were empowered. So it's sometimes there are perceptions, there are myths. Don't look at them with sunglasses. Look at them as just Sri Lankan women, and also look at education as something that is go beyond qualifications and a practical way. That's what they were talking about. And thank you so much for coming on my show and being a guest. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Thank you very much.